I mean, most buyers are inundated with really poor marketing. The only difference is just show me you know me over a longer period of time.
Data is no longer just about information or access to information. It's going to be about intelligence. What parts of marketing do you think AI can never replace, no matter how advanced it gets?
That balance of your buyers and customers feeling a part of that revolution or that evolution, right? Louis Vuitton, don't get me started. Anyway, I don't even have one anymore still.
So, no, you spoke about power of customers there, and you said some of the best marketing is done by customers and not companies. What does that really mean in practice?
That means that there are customers who are so excited about your product that they can't stop talking about it to their peers. They're out in the market talking about it. They're talking about how it's changing their role and their career. And I think because of all of the B2C examples we just gave, that I expect now to see customers that are experiencing what I want to experience from that brand, right? And so I think you just have to have your customers out in the market, and I recommend to any brand that you have customer programs where they're, back to your point about them, the evolution versus the revolution, where the customer is truly the hero. That's the power of customers, that it's not about the product. It's about that we're here to serve our community. And I think technology companies that are doing that really well are winning. And I think that's just the mindset that I would encourage all brands to have, and will in fact be pivotal for your business.
So how do you think early stage SaaS companies can turn their first 5 or 10 customers into growth engines?
Yeah, the companies that I have seen utilize customers, leverage customers in a way that it, just really pivots their business is their customer is out in the market. The customer is driving user groups, advisory boards, where the brand is the enabler, right? And what I mean when I say that is don't make the customer do all the work, of course, but it's almost as if that customer is fueling the business, of course, because they're so excited about the product, right? And they're out in the market talking about it. They want to talk about it. They're asking if we're getting literal from a B2B perspective, they're asking their comms team. Like, this is one of the most game-changing things. We can differentiate ourselves as a brand because we're affiliated and collaborating and partnering with this brand, right? Yeah. So I think those are the suggestions I would have, and building communities. So, back to, if I'm again being literal, I've seen early stage companies balancing what their power users are saying, and being very calculated about that, and also, what the executives are saying, and treating that in a very different way, giving that type of forum, giving that network effect, which in turn, and educational programs, teaching and education around their craft, I think is another game changer. So those are just some kind of key things that I've seen really innovative and high growth brands do early stage. And it's not, I don't want to say it's simple, but it's not that hard. And when those things happen, customers and buyers immediately understand, okay, this brand is walking the talk. They actually deeply care about us as people and about our departments, and they're investing in us. They're not just a tech company that's going to sell you something and walk away.
Yep. And I totally agree with you. From that context, what do customers expect from brand now that they didn't 5 years ago?
Show me you know me. If you don't, I'm gonna just abandon ship because it's just table stakes. And if you can't meet me where I am at a poignant moment in my experience, and it doesn't feel like there's all of these steps to reach someone, back to a frictionless experience, I just can't bother. I just don't have the time. Most buyers are inundated with really poor marketing. We've all seen it, right? I've got like 20 emails in my inbox right now. And I've got a bunch of ads that showed up, on LinkedIn today that weren't that great. And so like, how do you quiet the noise, reach out at really key moments to show someone that you know them? And when you get to a point that they are ready, that they know your brand, and that you make it, really that like just best in class experience that feels easy and seamless, where you deeply care about them as a company, as a person, as a department, and that you're going to help them, go to the next level, really. And if you think about the juxtaposition of that to B2C, we talked about a bunch of great examples. That's what B2C brands do in a very quick way. It's just a much smaller window, right? And then they go back and they try that window again. Right? So, I think the really, if we're thinking about it that way, the only difference is just show me you know me over a longer period of time. 9 to 11 month sales cycle in tech B2B, and nurture me on a path where I should give you my time, and you've earned the right to market to me.
Right. No, I agree with you. And I think from what you're saying, relevance is going to be a lot more important in the realm of GTM and marketing. And show me you know me, show me you care for me. My time is as more valuable than what you're trying to sell to. And keeping that in mind, and more so, as much as tech evolution, I think we still have marketers trying to spray and pray, spam the tag, which, to your point, that's the reason why we still see and are inundated with messages and ads that we shouldn't be, and it's right opposite what the relevance should be. So keeping that in mind, and with the advancements in AI that we are witnessing, where do you think AI will have its biggest impact? Creative, execution, personalization, or analytics?
I can't choose one of those currently. I think the biggest impact is potentially across all four, candidly. And I think it's about fueling humans. I think we're going from an era with AI that's going to take us from like owning data to owning outcomes. And I truly believe, when you think about those four categories, that AI has the power to completely revolutionize go-to-market. And I have examples of, essentially, when you think about the creative, execution, personalization, and analytics, we can talk a little bit more about those examples later. But I truly believe if you think about the fueling and rapid nature, just an unprecedented time as it relates to AI. Each one of those areas will be fueled and is being fueled like it's never been fueled before.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I think you kind of summed it up really well. If it's difficult, and it shouldn't be the case where a marketer is actually choosing between one of these four. They need to realize that all four have a role to play in their AIification of marketing GTM, and that's how they should use these as building blocks towards a bigger strategy and plan that they build. So keeping that in mind, what will marketing teams look like 3 years from now? More so because of AI and advancement in this field.
That is an amazing question. I'm going to do my best on this one. I think that I'm not naive to the fact that jobs will change, especially with this unprecedented rapid innovation as it relates to AI. And skill sets in turn will need to change. I think back to my point about marketers owning data and owning outcomes, and not even just marketers, likely go-to-market teams. But marketers will now be able to drive optimization and outcomes differently and more rapidly.
It's 10 o'clock.
Sorry about my Siri. Marketers will be able to drive optimization and outcomes differently and more rapidly because what has previously sat data-wise across siloed tools and sources is now a collective and can enable marketers to operate real time. And I think the biggest piece of that is, and the holy grail is, then how do you look at that data holistically and then harness that for your future go-to-market? That, I think, is the biggest game changer when we're thinking about teams changing. And the way I think about it is back to Holy Grail, what I've always said, which is, because I grew up in B2B tech, is it's kind of like, I think about it like, my goodness, as marketers, we've been trying forever to have, what's our platform of record? Because it's so siloed today, and how do we run marketing across all these channels and harness that for, pipeline impact? And that's not easy to do today, but we're seeing huge rapid strides because of AI. And that will require us as teams, like always, candidly, to just relook at skill sets, and relook at how we develop and educate our teams around owning outcomes versus getting into the data. I will say this, there is a current moment in time that I think AI has the power to move us past very quickly. I would love your take on this, Arun. Where, the same age-old problem of data in, data out is critical right now, but I think we're going to move past that more rapidly than we ever have. And then it will require our teams to quickly pivot, even now, to how do you own outcomes. And I am hearing that. I mean, literally, I just had a dinner last night with a client where we were talking about how he could evolve his team to owning outcomes in concert with sales. So that's already occurring. Then the question is, how do they harness AI to do it?
Right. No, I agree with you. I think the days of data silos behind us, and with the power of AI, data is no longer just about information or access to information. It's going to be about intelligence, and that's where AI comes in. We all are inundated with information all around us, and It just makes no sense now to have access to information. So what do I do about this information? What's my action based on the information that I have? That's intelligence, and that's probably the AI layer that will solve. And to your point, I think, yes, it is a significant change in a way that we've all been used to in B2B marketing, GTM. There will be change in the way we approach work. And I think that's been the case with the history. There's been time where there were official bean hitters hitting beans on the windows of people to wake them up as alarm clocks. And can we say alarm clocks took their jobs away? Maybe yes and maybe not. I think that's part of how we evolve as humans. That's part of how we evolve as marketeers. So yeah, I'm totally in line with what you just said. But I also think, and I'm more keen to know about your opinion here. I feel there are areas in marketing that no AI can replace, no matter how good it gets. Do you also feel the same? If so, what parts of marketing do you think AI can never replace, no matter how advanced it gets?
Yeah, great question. I can always be proven wrong, but my crystal ball says that strategy,
Yeah,
vision, critical thinking, those empathy, those creativity, those things will always remain uniquely human. I think AI can, to some of the points we were talking about earlier about how teams evolve, but AI can help us see what's happening. And even in some cases, when you're training the algorithm to say, like, remember this for future and help us predict what could happen, it can't decide. AI will never be able to decide, like, why does that matter? And what story am I going to tell authentically and differently to connect with my buyers and customers? That I believe will always be the power of marketing and the craft, which is taking the insight and really forming that vision for their buyer and their customer in that journey. And I think that brands win by differentiating through authentic connection. And so when you're thinking about like empathy and storytelling, you know, it's always going to be required to see what's next and make people feel like something is real. That can never be replaced by AI.
totally. Totally. I think AI will, and I think you said it earlier in this podcast, AI is more of an amplifier. Uh,
Mm.
and I think AI will help us be a lot more efficient. Uh,
Mhm.
but in doing so, because of advancements in AI, it will demand us to be a lot more human, a lot more empathetic. It will demand a lot more from humans, which only humans can do, which is being empathetic, being more human, being a lot more understanding about your audience and buyers and customers in a manner that AI will help you with executions incrementally, but you should be calling the shots as to how do we approach whom and why. What are these buyers, you know, indicating to us as brands in their journey that only we as humans can pick up the emotive factors. To your point, you mentioned about your daughter and her friends. When you spoke to them, one of the things that came out loud was the emotive factors, the value that the brand stand for. I think these are things that AI cannot mimic. It can probably try and amplify the communication, but it needs to come from a human, right? Yeah, I'm totally in agreement with what you just said there.
I
So,
love that, Arun. I just have to pause you for a moment because I love, given your vantage point, that you said that will require us to, in what I heard was even to be even more authentic, to have more morality around AI. I think that's a really unique vantage point from a CEO who is, driving innovation with AI right now. And I just want you to know how much I appreciate that, because I don't think people are thinking about it that way. And I think it's critical. I think actually there are some people that have a lot of fear around it. And so it's just refreshing to hear that vantage point. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, thank you. And I think it's imperative, Stephanie. Maybe it's a little early, maybe not everybody is talking about it, but eventually companies that will win will be companies that are human, companies that are empathetic, companies that don't sell just for the revenue outcome, but to genuinely transform their audiences. See, and no company in the world today can claim to, except for very few, I guess, but most companies in the world today cannot claim to change or transform humanity. But all of us can transform humanity in a very small cohorts if we focus on who we really are relevant for, right? I think that's what we should do. We should get a lot more human, empathetic, and authentic in what and how we do this. We all fully now agree that simulators are not replacements for racetracks, but they're a great starting point.
I just think connection is really critical. I don't think that just about brands.